Hey, what's up? Hello, my name is Emma, and today I'm going to be doing the It's Finally Fall book tag, which was created by Tall Tales, so I will leave the link to her original video below, but I am super excited. I keep talking about it, but this school semester has just been so draining, especially in regards to my creativity, and I thought it was just time for me to sit down and do a fun, lighthearted tag, especially one centered around my favorite season. Question number 1. In the fall, the air is crisp and clear. Name a book with a vivid setting. I'm gonna go with Daughter of the Burning City by Amanda Foody. I really loved Daughter of the Burning City, but one very unique element about it is the setting. It takes place in this traveling city called Gomorrah that is essentially considered a sort of carnival/festival, but it is a little bit darker. So throughout the novel, you have these somewhat conventional carnival or circus related elements, like our main character and the rest of her family star in a freak show. There are all different types of candy and sweets that they primarily live off of, but it is a little bit different because it's like caramel cockroaches and such. But then you get to the other side of Gomorrah, which is flooded with thieves and assassins and sex workers, and it just has this really interesting balance between light and dark that I think works so well for this story. In addition to Gomorrah being a very interesting place to read about, the magic of the inhabitants of Gomorrah is also very interesting. For example, our main character has no eyes, but she has the ability to create illusions that look and feel real to everyone else, which is what most of her family is comprised of. So it's just all around a really beautifully written and like very vivid story. Question number 2. Nature is beautiful, but also dying. Name a book that is beautifully written, but deals with a heavy topic like loss or grief. I'm gonna give you all of 3 seconds to guess which book I'm gonna choose. A List of Cages by Robin Rowe. Wow, what a shocker that I would pick this book for a book that's heavy but also beautiful. I love A List of Cages with all of my heart. It is this really beautiful novel about these two boys who used to be foster brothers, and after 5 years of separation and no contact, they find their way back into each other's lives. This book is pretty easily divided between themes of friendship and kindness and acceptance, but also things like child abuse and anxiety and bullying and not fitting in and such. And just like Daughter of the Burning City complements light and dark very well, those themes are just so beautifully balanced within this story. This is definitely a hard book to read. Like the very first chapter, one of our main characters is just in like English class and I was crying by page 5. And it gets progressively darker throughout the story, especially in regards to the child abuse. So if that's something that's triggering for you, I might stay away from this one for a while until you're able to cope with it. But it really is a story that just kind of settles on your heart and it feels heavy and you want to cry every second while you're reading this book, whether it be for the hard topics or for the good ones that are just so heartwarming to read. But I truly feel like I am a changed person from A List of Cages. I just look at this book and I know that it's made me realize the type of person I want to be, and it's helped me refine my values a lot. And so although so much of this book is just really heavy and sad, it also has such a positive impact, and there was like no other book I could possibly choose for this one. Question number 3. Fall is back to school season. Share a nonfiction book that you learned something from. Now, as most of you know, I am not a nonfiction reader. I have to really be invested in a topic in order to want to read about it in a nonfiction way. But the book that I chose for this question is Manson, The Life and Times of Charles Manson by Jeff Ginn. If you did not know, I have been fascinated by serial killers since I was like 13 years old, and it all started with Charles Manson. I have done so much personal research on this man. I've watched like every documentary you can access on the internet. I've read so many different websites and articles and such about him just because his life story fascinates me. So as a criminal justice minor, for my theories of crime class last semester, we had to pick a known criminal and talk about how their behavior can be explained through 3 different theories of crime. So naturally I chose Charles Manson. And although in school we mostly always go towards using journal articles for sources, I knew I wanted to finally read a book about Charles Manson because I never had before, and I really enjoyed it. This is a full biography of Charles Manson's life, and because I have done so much research over the past 7 years on this man. I really didn't think there would be so much more in here that I could learn, but there really was. It was an absolutely fabulously researched novel. I know that the author did not speak directly with Charles Manson because it is very hard to get him to write you back, but he did speak to a lot of people that came in contact with him over the years, especially a few members of the Manson family, which is the cult that Charles Manson led, and it is just so well researched, super vivid, extremely well written, and if you're interested in this man and his story, but you definitely have to be very invested because it is a dense novel. Like, I wouldn't pick this up for light reading whatsoever. It really was a fascinating novel that I learned so much from, and for anyone who is interested in reading biographies on serial killers or criminals in the past, I would highly recommend this one. Question number 4. In order to keep warm, it's good to spend some time with people that we love. So name a fictional family, household, or friend group that you would want to be a part of. I have to choose the Blackthorn family from the Dark Artifices series by Cassandra Clare. This is like the best big close-knit family in YA literature in my opinion. I can't even tell you how many siblings there are just off the top of my head, but it really is a humongous family that are all so supportive and wonderful with each other. This family has been through so much loss and hardship over the few short years they've lived thus far, and it is just so wonderful to watch their story unfold, not just as ships and OTPs and such, but as a whole family, and to watch them grow and even go through more stuff, which I know they will definitely overcome in the future. The ties between the members of this family are just so strong in a way that is so absent from so many other young adult books. In YA, it is mostly just focused on the sole protagonist. Families are not usually a huge part of the story, and so watching this family that started in the Mortal Instruments series and that is going to progress into the Wicked Powers series, I'm just so excited to see them grow together, and it's a really great story for family dynamics. Question number 5. The colorful leaves are starting to pile up on the ground. Show us a stack of some fall-colored spines. I have my handy dandy stack right here. I picked The Hostile Hospital by Lemony Snicket, Everland by Wendy Spinale, City of Fallen Angels by Cassandra Clare, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows by J.K. Rowling, and Illuminate by J. Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. Question number 6. Fall is the perfect time for storytelling by the fireside. Pick a book where someone is telling a story. Now, at first I was like, what do you mean? Literally every book is telling a story. But the book I settled on for this one is 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. The reason I picked this novel is because it is definitely one where it is telling a story from beginning to end. And I feel like the storytelling aspect of this novel is its most crucial point. I know a lot of people don't like 13 Reasons Why, and I'll talk about that in a second, but my experience of reading 13 Reasons Why was last semester, like the day after the TV show came out. I wanted to be a part of the hype, so I picked up this one on audiobook, and I somehow listened to it all in one day. It was my busiest day of the week, and somehow I just powered through it because I was so encaptured by this story. So we have a really great reading experience tied to this novel. 13 Reasons Why, I have my own critiques of it. It's not a great mental health novel because despite the bulk of the story dealing with suicide, we don't ever mention depression or mental health, which is a very crucial element to discuss with this story. I don't personally agree, but I do accept the very valid claims that the story is sort of like a revenge fantasy for suicide. But I don't think any of this means that the story does not deserve to be told, because although I didn't necessarily resonate with it in a way a lot of other people have, this story has meant so much to so many people. So many people identify with Hannah Baker, and that alone is enough for me to say this is a story that should be out in the world because of the way it's impacted others. There is definitely a significant divide between the people who love 13 Reasons Why and the people who hate 13 Reasons Why, and regardless of where you fall on this spectrum, I do think that this book has made a lot of progress in just talking about suicide and sexual assault. Do I think that they went about everything in the right way? No, I do not. And if you're interested in hearing like a lot of my critiques on the book and the show and the things that I did enjoy, I'll leave my review of the TV series down below. So although I have my own criticisms, a lot of people have a lot of other criticisms, a lot of people have no criticisms. Regardless of where you fall on the spectrum, this is a story that made an impact, and so it felt very fitting for this tag question. Question number 7. The nights are getting getting darker, share a dark, creepy read. I have to go with The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is such a phenomenal YA paranormal story. If you haven't read it yet, I don't know what you're doing. The Diviners is cool because we get those creepy, dark elements from so many different parts of the story. You know, like I said, we have the paranormal ghost sort of theme that is going on in this novel. We have this string of mysterious murders that is terrorizing New York, where we actually get to see the murders as they unfold in this story. All of our main characters, because there are multiple, they have many different types of superpowers and different abilities that are really interesting. And our main character, Evie, does live with her uncle, who is the curator of the Museum of Creepy Crawlies. And it all takes place in 1920s New York, which is like one of the most glamorized time periods in American history for being so lavish and flamboyant and exciting. So it's just such a phenomenal novel. It has those really fun, light-hearted moments, but it does have these dark, creepy, gruesome moments that are so interesting. So if you haven't read The Diviners yet, I would highly recommend it because it is so fun and definitely a story I am planning on continuing with once I can get myself to read the second book. Question number 8. The days are getting colder. Name a short, heartwarming read that could definitely warm up somebody's cold or rainy day. Now, I don't think I would necessarily call this book heartwarming because it is, again, a little bit dark, but I had to choose Every Heart a Doorway by Seanan McGuire. I actually read this in one day, one sitting, during a rainy day because it's only like 160 or 70 pages or something. But it's a really interesting, enjoyable novel that I definitely feel like is the perfect fit for a rainy day because I don't know about you, but when I think of a rainy day, like I still want everything to be gray and dreary and I just want to make the most of that experience. I don't really want to warm it up with thoughts of like cutesy summer contemporaries or whatever. But I really enjoyed Every Heart a Doorway. Actually, today I left my book at home when I was at school and I was trying really hard to get the second book down, Among the Sticks and Bones, on overdrive, but I haven't gotten it yet. But Every Heart a Doorway is essentially about this sort of fabulous urban fantasy world where children may accidentally encounter these worlds that are completely different from our own, whether they are exciting or very dark. And once they return back home, whether it has been only like 2 minutes in real time or 2 years in real time, despite however long they have spent in there, they have trouble adjusting to the real world, and so they are sent to Eleanor Westwood's Home for Wayward Children, where they are grouped together with other children who have had similar experiences. So throughout this novel, our main character arrives and murders start happening at this home, and again, it's a little bit more dark and gruesome and creepy than lighthearted and fun, but it was a really enjoyable novel, and I think it is a perfect rainy day short book. Question number 9. Fall returns every year. Name an old favorite you'd like to reread soon. I mentioned this pretty recently, but I'm going to go with The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer series by Michelle Hodkin. I think a lot of you can relate to this, that back when we first discovered BookTube, we read a lot of amazing books from our favorite booktubers' recommendations. And The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer was one of the first books I picked up because booktubers recommended it to me, and I loved it so much at the time, but it has been like 3.5 years since I read it. It has been a very, very long time. I do not remember the significant details of this story. I just remember really enjoying my time reading it. And so for a while now, there have been a lot of books that I've wanted to reread. Like I really want to reread Shatter Me. I really, really want to reread The Darkest Minds. So many great books, but The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer is definitely one I'd like to return to very soon. The Becoming of Noah Shaw comes out next month, which is like the companion series about the love interest in this novel, and I'm really, really excited for it. I already got it pre-ordered. I can't wait to read it. But The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, despite me not liking the third book, it has a special place in my heart, and so I would really like to reread it sometime soon. I've been thinking for a while, I just want to do like 6 months of straight up rereads, but I don't know when that'll ever happen because so many amazing books are coming out all the time. But I want to make rereading more of a priority. Maybe I'll check if they have audiobooks because I'm a big fan of audiobook rereads because it doesn't feel like I'm taking away from reading new books physically. I literally haven't thought about that until now. I'm gonna have to check that out. Question number 10. Fall is the perfect time for cozy reading nights. Share some of your favorite fall reading accessories. I've said on my channel before, I'm not really a cuddle up in bed, like set a block of time to read kind of reader. I tend to read on the go constantly. So I don't have like a typical reading ritual or anything I like to normally have with me while I'm reading, but I am always a fan of some English breakfast tea with milk and sugar. I have also recently tried this apple cinnamon tea from Tea Pigs, which is just phenomenal. I love it so much. So that has definitely been something I have been incorporating into my like morning audiobook schedule. If I'm cuddling up in bed, I want like a comfy blanket, not like my normal comforter, which is perfectly comfortable. Like I want like a fuzzy, soft, like really nice blanket to wrap myself in. And candles. I love candles. I used to never use candles. I was so against candles. I told myself at like 14 I would never own candles, and then I started getting them from bookish subscription services, and then you get this wonderful candle like this one, which is butterbeer scented from the Accio box, and it smells so good, and now I'm obsessed with candles. So that has definitely been a part of my like perfect reading routine. And Christmas lights. Christmas lights make every reading marathon better. And question number 11, share the autumnal appreciation and tag some friends. I'm going to tag Michael from Michael Bookline because he hasn't posted a video in a hot second with his brand new job, and I miss seeing his face in my subscription box. I'm gonna tag Brandon from Brandon the Book Addict because we actually just hang out this past fall and we went book shopping and it was super fun. So Brandon, you're tagged as well. I'm gonna tag Monica Watson and Kaylee Hyde because I am hanging out with them later this week for a Halloween party, which I am really excited for, and I would love to see their responses. And I'm going to tag anyone else who loves fall as much as I do. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you soon for a new video. Bye!
All day,